Hello, my name is Christopher Eckel, and today I will be talking on behalf of my group about an issue that we find is very important in today's society. This issue is, of course, cancel culture. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, what exactly is cancel culture? Well, we kind of define cancel culture as the act of a group calling out a person or brand for an unsavory action based off the moral values of a larger society to hold them accountable for unsavory actions. Now, with that said, it's important that I mention our group sees cancel culture as something that can be good in society. However, despite this, it is oftentimes accompanied by several fatal flaws, with the main one we see being the accompaniment of mob mentality when trying to cancel somebody. However, before I can talk about how bad mob mentality is, I first have to define what it is. And many reputable sources, such as the Webster Dictionary, define mob mentality as the tendency of people in a group to think and behave in a way that confirms the others in the group rather than as individuals, which basically means we think as a collective instead of forming our own individual thoughts, which is very problematic in the context of cancel culture because of three main things that oftentimes stem from a vicious mob mentality, which is going against everything, which I will now get into, with the first one being misinformation, which can occur for a multitude of reasons. But according to Kathleen Dewey, in a study done by Columbia University, a main reason for this may be the fact that 60% of links shared online have actually never been clicked on. So it's very likely that someone sees something and sees the source, someone saying will back it up, and forms their own opinion without actually ever reading the source material. And the spread of misinformation is oftentimes even backed up further by the fact that article headlines are very rarely ever related to the topic in total because their job is to get you interested in a subject. And mob mentality helps to compound the effects of misinformation because someone gets a misinformed opinion, shares it, and then everyone gangs up based off of a false idea. However, in addition to misinformation, mob mentality also helps to spread information that was taken out of context. And this oftentimes results from someone seeing something that in their mind proves their point of view, but they never really look into where it came from and under what circumstances the video comes from, which is very apparent in the case of John Schnatter, or the founder of Papa John's, for those of you who may not know. This was because he was canceled when videos of him saying racist slurs became known to the public. And as a result of the backlash, he was forced to step down from his position in the company. However, it later came out when the video was put into context that he, in fact, was not saying those slurs to be derogatory, but was saying that another fast food owner had said those slurs in a derogatory manner, and he was calling them out for their poor actions. Unless he was canceled because his statements were taken out of context and a mob mentality picked up and ganged up against him. In addition to the misinformation and the statements being taken out of context, mob mentality can also lead to a state of closed-minded thinking in people, which can affect the mob in two main ways. With the first being that people will often assume that a person who has made comments in the past, maybe even years in the past, have not grown or changed as a person in any way, shape, or form since they have made those comments. And the other way that this oftentimes affects the mob is that they will not try to see the reasons for why a person may have a disagreeing opinion or agree with something that we may see as bad. With a great example of the former being back in 2019 when Kevin Hart faced Twitter backlash from a tweet he had made back in 2011, which was homophobic. This resulted in him being made to step down from hosting the Oscars almost 8 years after he made the tweet, despite the fact that he had given a sincere apology and made several attempts to rectify his errors and show that he had changed since he made the tweet over 8 years in the past. In addition to this example, and an example that's more in line with the latter reason for why closed-minded thinking is detrimental in mob mentality, is the case of J.K. Rowling, or the author of Harry Potter. She fell under scrutiny when she posted the tweet that read, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for starting that sex is real. Hashtag I stand with Maya. Hashtag this is not a drill." And this became under scrutiny because the idea was not against transgender rights, but it did differ slightly from what the mob saw as what they thought was right. And for this reason, J.K. Rowling went under a lot of scrutiny and was canceled because she differed in her thinking slightly from what the mob thought, despite the fact that she still did agree with them. Now, with all the doom and gloom out of the way, I offer a message of hope, as I wouldn't be bringing up this issue if we didn't see a way where we could correct this. And the fact that is, it all boils down to doing your own research. Mob mentality oftentimes spawns out of people just piling on to what they see and what they hear rather than trying to go out and form their own opinion. So the best way to combat it is to go out and do your own research, gather your own information, find facts of others, fact check them, see if their information's correct, ask people where they got their information, form your own solid opinions, give your own critical thinking, think around things, find the context of issues, and by doing all of that, you can put all of the bad and negative side effects of cancel culture with mob mentality in it aside. Because if everyone goes out and gets an informed opinion, sure, there will still be debates whether or not we should cancel somebody, but there'll be a more informed debate, and a more informed debate is a lot better than just following what the herd says. And with that said, I would like to thank you for listening to me for these past 6 minutes because this is an issue my group and I care a lot about. I do encourage you to go and look at the sources we used for this. They're on the screen now. And with that, this is Christopher Heckel, signing out from my parents' basement.